What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of the Wet Net Podcast. I'm Clayton, and this is Adam. And why don't you tell everybody what we're doing here, Adam?
We are starting a podcast. Clayton and I have been friends for how many years now? Probably 4?
Yeah, probably 4.
Yeah. Met him on the river, and we've been friends ever since. We both share a passion for fishing, and we also share a passion for just being silly geese.
Yeah.
Or silly gooses.
Silly gooses. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll call each other periodically and just talk for hours about fishing or, fishing adjacent things, our methods, how we differ and how we're also similar. And figured why not just make a podcast about it and start talking about it and, share some stories with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we really kind of wanted to cater this to the kind of the blue collar worker, the guy that's not able to be out there and make their own report, Monday through Friday. And so there's going to be kind of a report aspect to it, but for the majority, it's kind of just going to be hanging out and bullshitting and talking about fishing and life and everything.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll start here. So I am a log truck driver, so I work some pretty crazy, funky hours, and I love it, and I don't really ever see myself doing much else other than fishing. I got 2 kids. I got almost a 5-year-old girl and a 2.5-year-old boy, and they are awesome. And
Future fishermen.
Yeah. Other than that, it's just working and fishing and pretty laid back. How about yourself?
Yeah. So same story. I've got 2 kids, a 3 and a 5-year-old. Where was I even going with this? What was I even fuck, man.
What do you do for work?
What do I do for work? I do sales at a fencing company. I'm actually in training right now. I have a past in sales. I've done it for, half my working career. I'm also, on the side doing boat demolition, so we're like recycling, pulling off valuable pieces, reselling those, and then my hobby side job is I sell fish sauce rod wrenches. I don't know if you guys have heard about them, but it's essentially a wrench that goes on your Folby or Scotty rod holders that make it so you can tighten down that knob. A lot of times they're used with slip discs. And the big problem that people have with slip discs, especially when using like the Pro Trolls and the heavier leads, like the 12, 16, 20 ounce, is all that load starts pulling down your rod tip. So I created a fix for that, and it's just a little rod wrench, and it's been taking off, and excited to see where it goes. Yeah,
and those rod wrenches are really a game changer because it kind of helps you fish more confidently. You get all your rods set in the same position every time, and you get them cinched down, and they're not moving anywhere. And fishing confidently is kind of a big thing.
That's everything.
Yeah. So some goals.
Show?
Yeah,
do some goals. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get into some goals we have for this podcast. So first and foremost, the goal I have going into this is I just want to have fun. I just want to have kind of an hour a week that we just get away from all the bullshit of life, all the scary politics and all the scary world shit, and just talk about fishing and just kind of make it a goal to enjoy myself for an hour a week.
Right.
And
you make it sound so sad. I never get to enjoy myself, and I get 1 hour a week with Adam where we're doing work.
Yeah, I love my job, and I want to do it for the rest of my life.
But I want some joy.
Yeah,
just 1 hour a week.
I want to be happy sometimes.
Right.
Eventually we like to try to grow this platform a little bit and start bringing you guys kind of the best content that we can in terms of really cool guests and some really cool products and giveaways and stuff like that. What do you think you have in terms of goals for this?
Kind of similar goals as you. Also just creating contacts too.
Mm-hmm.
Having, meeting new fishing guides, meeting just everyday fishermen, and also meeting people that aren't necessarily the fishing side of it, but like more like the product side of it and that kind of thing. Talk about baits and spinners and whatever. Just kind of, it's all encompassing. It's like there's a lot of things that go into fishing, and just everything in general. There's a lot we can talk about, and a lot of things that might be eye opening. And sometimes you just take a little piece of what you learn, and that can actually be a game changer. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also just being able to bring you guys some really cool content and
maybe some laughs along the way.
Yeah, and some weekly reports once we get into the nitty gritty of fishing. You know, some guys are stressing Monday through Friday. What am I going to do on Saturday? I don't know. You know,
Right.
and because I know that's kind of been a big thing for myself, and I know you and I have had the conversation 5 million times, changing plans. You know,
Yeah, you call me on Thursday night or Friday. Where are you fishing this weekend? What's hot? What's been good? And it's like, yeah, let's talk about it.
yeah, couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
So. So let's just go ahead and get right into the show here. So we're going to start with the sturgeon retention season that we just had above the dam. You got to participate in that. How'd you do?
I did well. I did great. Yeah. I mean, all things considered, we had some little hiccups in the morning. I had two buddies, one on either side of me, and they were both railing on them. And for some reason, they just didn't want to bite my stuff. But then eventually that started, picking up for me. We ended up having to move a couple times, but we got our fish. We were out of there by 2:00, and that's also the same time that the rest of the fleet decided to call it a day too. So the boat ramp getting out in the morning wasn't bad at all. It's New Year's Day. People are probably hungover, but I went to sleep pretty early. So I was at the boat ramp at like 3:45. In my spot on anchor, closer to 4:15 or so, and I sat there and tied up baits for half an hour, and then we sat on ass for an hour and change.
Yeah. How many fish do you guys think you got? How many fish do you guys think you got into?
20 or so.
20 or so.
Yeah. So we got our first keeper was like on fish number 6 or 7, and it was a 42 incher. The slot limit up there is 38 to 54, so a couple inches over. And then
they're good quality fish, though.
Yeah, they're not bad. Once you actually clean them, though, there's not a lot of meat on there.
Yeah.
I mean, you cut off all the what do they call that? Like the red skin or like the red.
Yeah,
the
I
blood,
don't know what they
call it
call
bloodline, but there's like the fatty part of the fish that's not as good of eating. It's got like the really fishy taste. But once you clean that and you get the skin off and get the head off and that giant belly cavity, it's not a lot of meat.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll get a lot more meat off of a 18-pound Chinook than you would off that. They're huge, but just not once you clean them, it's not a lot of meat. So I and also with so few retentions, you prize that meat. So you want to treat it as well as you can and clean it the best you can and take really good care of it, just like any other meat that you catch. But it's a little more special with sturgeon just because there's so few opportunities lately.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall as a great day out there, and weather held up pretty well. It was a little breezy, a little cold, but it's to be expected on January 1st. But people were catching fish. That's the bottom line, is people were catching fish. There was a ton of people out there. I mean, it looked like a hog line in August at the mouth of the Cowlitz. It was busy.
Yeah.
But people were having a blast. A lot of fish were kept. I think we got, what did they say it was? 85% of the quota on the first day?
Yeah, 85% of the quota on the first day.
Yeah.
So
we only got 2 days total. I mean, granted, I was out there the first day, and Clayton, you were what were you doing?
I was working on my boat.
Yeah.
I was being kind of a goober. So I was doing boat projects and did some wiring and stuff on my boat, and I was planning on going fishing Monday, and Sunday night I got the boat all put back together, and I took it to the boat ramp, and wanted to make sure everything was working good, and everything worked awesome except for the primer ball on my kicker. I start squeezing it, and all of a sudden it would just fucking collapse, and I wasn't able to get any fuel to it. And I was all pissed off at myself because I thought I crushed the fuel line when I was putting the floor back in, and it was 9 o'clock at night, and I was pissed off and ready to go to bed. So I woke up Monday morning after not going fishing, and tore my floor out again, which pisses me off because that floor is a motherfucker.
Do you know what I'm realizing?
What?
You don't need a kicker for sturgeon.
Yeah. Yeah, but, in the event that I did need a kicker for sturgeon.
I almost needed my kicker that day out there.
Yeah.
I had all sorts of problems that day. Starting out, driving up there, for some reason, my truck didn't want to downshift into gears. So, trying to go on the freeway, I'm going up the hill, and usually you give it a little more gas, it'll downshift and pull up those RPMs and get you up the hill a little better.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't want to do that. So I'm going up the hill, and I started out going like, 63. By the time I got to the top of the hill, I was at like 47, just barely make it over the hill. And luckily there's no hills on the Oregon side, no big ones.
Yeah.
So
Hood River Hill's kind of a good one. That first one kind of coming into it.
Yeah, but it's still, it's nothing like taking the Washington side where it's straight up the side of a cliff for, as you leave Washougal for a good 10 miles, you're going uphill, up, and then you finally get to that crest and you go back down.
Yeah. That was kind of a fun one. When I was driving for Dietrich a couple years back, we would always, because we were hauling out to the Dalles every day, twice a day. So that Hood River Hill was always the hill that we would kind of gauge whose truck had the better power. It's like, well, I pulled Hood River Hill at 62. And, oh, yeah, I fucking pulled it at 63,
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That could also just be your speedometers being off.
It could be.
Yeah.
Shut up, Adam. Oh, you fucker. You interrupted me. Anyways.
Oh.
Yeah, so I got my floor put back in.
Sorry.
Yeah, I started tearing my floor out, and I couldn't find any crushed fuel line anywhere. And I decided to get the genius idea of start at my primer ball, trace the fuel line back. Within about 12 inches of the primer ball, I found my fuel line was kinked. And I fucking straightened it out, and I squeezed the ball, and it got filled up with fuel just fine. And I'm fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So I fucked myself out of the only day I would have had for sturgeon retention.
Well, you didn't miss anything.
Shut up, dude.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right, dude.
But that day that I was having issues out there, my steering linkage froze, wanted to freeze up on me. I haven't greased it in a while. I haven't done a lot of boat maintenance in a long time that I've been meaning to do. But once the season starts rolling, you just kind of put all that stuff aside and just live on a hope and a prayer that you can make it through the rest of the season. Now's the time to be doing that stuff, but here I am recording a podcast instead.
Yeah.
So steering linkage was super tight, and I'm trying to steer, and I came off anchor because I was wanted to pop off anchor and run up a little bit and then drop back in, and I go to turn, and my linkage just popped off. So the part that go the little arm there, the bolt backed out. So I was able to take my needle nose pliers and kind of jimmy rig it back in there, and it's still sitting like that. So I better not forget for next time.
Yeah.
But that was one of the issues. I forgot what else was going on, but
Transom straps.
Oh yeah. Transom strap on the starboard side ended up snapping, lost half of it on the freeway somewhere. Somebody backed into my tail light and broke that, plus the bracket. So I've got some work to do to my boat and trailer before I go back out, which luckily we are kind of in between seasons. Really the only thing going on is kokanee and some steelhead.
Yeah. And this podcast.
Yeah, and this podcast.
Yeah.
And the boat show, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. So kind of getting back into sturgeon here. So with how well the fleet did as a whole, they ended up closing the season early. So we got a 675 fish quota, and like we said earlier in the show, that 85% of the quota was caught on Monday. What do you think, conditions-wise, made that happen compared to years prior where conditions might not have been that good? Like, what made the fishing better?
Water temp and the amount of people out there.
Yeah, participation.
Yeah. I think water temp was the big thing because those fish were biting. And there's been times where I've done, after fall salmon's over, a lot of times I'll just go up there once a month and pre-fish that area just for fun. I love catch and release sturgeon. I love finding new holes up there. And you can definitely tell the colder the water gets, especially as it gets, into the low 40s, high 30s, they definitely are more lethargic. They're more likely to just barely nibble on it, or your bait will have to soak a lot longer.
A little bit less aggressive.
So they're just, if you drop right on one, you'll probably end up getting bit. But it just, when that water temps up, I don't remember the exact temperature. I want to say 44.
Yeah.
But when the water temps up, they're just aggressive, and they'll bite it and they'll hold on to it, and they take it.
Yeah.
So that seemed like the big factor as far as why we were so successful as a fleet.
Yeah. I mean, we've had some pretty cold days the last handful of years. What was that, 2 years ago that there was like a foot of snow, a foot and a half of snow that they had?
Yeah.
and it seemed like guys were still doing pretty good there. But I think the biggest thing this year is just participation.
Yeah.
And
But air temp and water temp are two different things, though. So
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
if you, and then also it's not even necessarily air temp here. It's air temp up in Canada, all the way through central Washington, eastern Washington. You know, that Columbia River goes a long ways.
Yeah.
And then there could be, if there's, you know, cold, heavy rains, that could drop the river temperature too, from snowpack melting, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we don't have much as far as snowpack goes either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, at least not yet.
not yet, but that might be coming this weekend.
Yeah. No kidding. So when you're up there doing that sturgeon fishery, what is your kind of your go-to setup? What are you using? What's your starting lineup bait wise? And because I can tell you, I've always been a really big squid guy up there. I love squid and sand shrimp. Some guys dig the sand shrimp, some guys don't. I will never go up there without having it. Squid and sand shrimp for me. But walk me through your setup and kind of what you like to do.
Okay. I am, you know this, but they don't know this. I am cheap. When it comes to bait, I just hate wasting money on bait. I try to avoid sand shrimp at all costs. I mean, there's certain fisheries where it is the difference maker, but up there I feel like it doesn't matter as much. So I went up there with a 2 pound block of squid and a tray of herring, and buddy next to me was doing herring and sand shrimp, and he was roping on them. And I don't think that's why he was roping on them. I think he
totally going to interrupt you for a second.
Go ahead.
You want to know what some dude fucking told me one time?
What's that?
We were sturgeon fishing up there. I shit you not. He pulls out a fucking jar of Jif peanut butter, takes a scoop, slaps it on his fucking squid. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? He throws it out, dude, and he outfished all of us.
Really?
Yeah.
So why aren't you bringing Jif peanut butter out there?
If I would have been out there, I would have brought Jif peanut butter. So anyways, get back to what you were saying.
What was I saying?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. Oh, so the baits, I don't think it mattered as much this time, because I was getting caught on straight squid, or getting bit on straight squid, straight herring squid, or herring sand shrimp, squid sand shrimp. They were all getting bit. There might be certain days where it makes a difference, but I don't think that was the day.
Yeah.
Again, my buddy next to me kicked my ass, but I think it was more so he was just in the slot, and he was also soaking a little bit earlier than I was.
Well, he was also running 4 rods.
Yeah. And
he's also just like the fishiest fucking dude I know.
The fishiest dude, and it drives Clayton and I nuts, because we'll go out to a fishery. We'll be there hours before daylight, getting everything ready, and he'll roll up with a dirty boat, and he'll have his rods rigged up and not cleaned from the last trip, and he'll go and just whoop our asses.
Yeah, yeah.
And it doesn't matter where it is, he just whoops our asses up and down.
Yeah. So talk me through your kind of your setup that you do.
Basic setup. Start with the VIP line lock. I think I was using 10-ounce leads. I probably could have gone down to an 8-ounce, but I think I lost all my 8-ounce leads last year
in the channel,
and haven't repurchased.
You cheap bastard.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like I only need those for a month of the year.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's I'm usually going to like a 10 or 12 ounce.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really like the month of end of March, April, I'm using the 8 to 10 ounce, and then after that, I'm usually 10 and 12 for the upriver fisheries. So, anyways, back to the sturgeon setup. Pretty basic slider on with my lead. Bead chain to a snap swivel, and then I tie up the Dacron leaders. I don't even know what poundage I'm using. I don't think it matters at all.
Yeah.
Some might say otherwise, but we're not catching mini oversized there. And if you are, I'd rather it break off, honestly.
Yeah.
Before it breaks my rod, because I'm just using salmon rods.
Yeah. You're out there trying to get keeper sturgeon, and you're having to fight an oversize for an hour and a half.
Right. Which I've done, and had to pop off anchor and float down a couple miles just to get this damn thing in. And
it's cool, but
it's
it
fun,
sucks.
and it's like it's cool for the pictures, but you're just like, give me my damn hook back, and you can't break it off like a 40-pound leader for salmon.
Right.
You're thumbing it as hard as you can, and it still won't break.
Yeah. Especially when you go out there with a purpose of trying to get a keeper sturgeon. You know, we get a handful of days to fish for them a year.
Yeah.
You don't want to spend an hour and a half of your day fighting a fucking 10, 11, 12 foot sturgeon.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, I've only caught a couple oversized up there.
Yeah.
One was probably closer to like that 8.5, 9 foot. We didn't get a tape on it, obviously, just because we're in the boat and whatever. And the other one,
than your boat.
we will never know because we had this thing, the drag completely wrenched down, and he's thumbing it, and it was still pulling off hundreds of feet. It eventually broke off.
Yeah.
So who knows what it was, but it was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of my last weekend, I went and did kokanee fishing for the first time.
Yeah. How was that?
That was actually a blast. I've been totally against doing it for as long as I've been fishing, and it's because small fish piss me off. And I took the time. I took my lady and the kids, and it was a blast. It was mild temperature. I mean, it was mid to high 30s. The wind was real mild, just enough to get a little chop on the water, but not enough to piss me off. And we hooked into probably 25, maybe 30 fish, and we killed 5. And that was kind of driving me crazy until I talked to more guys and realized how many fish you lose kokanee fishing.
Especially when you have kids on board.
Yeah. I mean, you're trying to teach a 4.5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old how to reel in fish with soft mouth kokanee. You're going to lose fish.
Yeah.
But I also noticed that the rods I was using kind of made a difference too, because I was using 2 of those kokanee black rods out the side and 2 of the Okuma SSTs out the back, and our hook to land ratio with the kokanee blacks was way better than the SSTs out the back, and it was running the same setups. I did just like probably a 20-inch bumper to a weighted Dodger. And then I did probably 10 to 12 inches of leader off of it. And I think there were a couple that might have been a little bit longer leaders.
What brand Dodger are you using?
Brad's Dodgers.
Brad's Dodgers are great.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like the Aero Flash, which you probably don't. You're probably not familiar with those.
Not familiar with.
You don't do any kokanee fishing.
No.
Dude, honestly, I've been telling Clayton for years, like, oh, you should go kokanee fishing. He's like, no, they're stupid. They're
suck. Fucking small. And
I'm like, they're delicious little morsels, though. It's just, cleaning a pile of those kind of gets tedious, especially. There's some days you go out there during the summer, you can catch 40 fish by 10 a.m., which is awesome until come time to cleaning it. But yeah, it's a blast.
Why would I want to go catch 30 kokanee in a day when I can troll around for a unicorn springer in February and
might get 2 bites?
Maybe if you get one.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I like the thrill of getting a unicorn.
Yeah. I mean, it's that much more exciting.
Yeah. But no, kokanee's definitely something I'm going to start doing more now, especially because the kids are getting to the right age to where I can't necessarily just throw them in the boat and expect them to be okay not catching fish all day.
Yeah.
I want to keep them excited, and I want them to have fun, and they loved it, dude. It was seeing the smile on Paisley's face when she for the first time ever holding the rod and reeling by herself. Like she had a blast, dude.
Yeah.
Everett's still kind of at the age where he's needing some help, which was kind of a pain in the ass when we had, a triple and, Maddie's holding the net and I'm helping Everett with his rod and Paisley's fighting her fish and there's another one on. It's like, uh-oh.
That's when kokanee gets fun though, is when you're having, doubles, triples, and quads.
Yeah.
It's when it's pandemonium. You're doing the tuna shuffle.
But it's like relaxing pandemonium. It's not like if you were to get a triple salmon fishing with 2 kids.
Oh, your hair would be on fire.
Oh my God. Dude.
Yeah. And also if you lose one, there's probably another one on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one really nice thing about kokanee fishing. And so if I already equate fishing to golf, do you ever golfed?
No, I don't Top Golf.
Okay. Well,
highly intoxicated Top Golf.
Nice. So like salmon fishing, I would consider like, using your driver, hitting that long ball, it's some brute force into it. There's still some finesse, but kokanee is all finesse. It's all putting. It's that like that short game. It's really minute movements. It's knowing when to let that fish flop around because they're not pulling drag. Hold on a second.
Hashtag timeout.
Why? Jesus.
Everybody make fun of Adam for having his alarm going off.
Yeah, it reminded me that I was supposed to have a chiropractor appointment this week, but I canceled it. So
no, perfect.
Where were we? Kokanee.
Yeah, talking about finesse.
Yeah, it's all finesse. It's it's having that limber rod. It's having some people believe having stretch in your line. I I run braid. So
Yeah.
were you running braid?
Yeah, I was running braid on all of them. I actually, the guy that I borrowed the rod from, he had a reel with mono on it, but 3 of the rods that he loaned me didn't have reels. So the only 3 reels that I put on, or the
50
only
pound braid?
Yeah, were braid.
Yeah.
And my OCD wouldn't let me have 3 reels with braid, 1 reel with mono. So I took that reel off and ran braid on all 4 rods.
Yeah. I ran braid for years. I know people swear by like the 10-pound big game.
Yeah. Do you not get enough stretch from like the bumper or the leader itself? Like, where's kind of that?
It's the rod. I mean,
Yeah.
You might land more fish. I don't know. I've had really good success with it.
Yeah.
I think it's more so how you fight the fish and actual and the hooks. The hooks. I've gone to those big game. I think it's size 4 Gamakatsus, and my land ratio went up. But also, I watched some videos on actually how to fight a kokanee. I mean, it's almost like using your rod like a lever. So when they're tugging on it, you let that butt of your rod kind of absorb some of that. So you're still putting some bend in the rod, but it's not all on the rod to fight the fish.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is kind of hard to explain to a 4.5-year-old when she's just fucking cranking away.
Right. And then also you're just gonna lose fish.
Yeah.
That's the fun of it.
Yeah.
You know, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't care that much. The only time that it was really kind of an issue was when, Paisley would lose 1 fish, and then we would tell Everett that the next one was his turn, and Paisley's like, but I didn't get mine, Well,
Yeah.
it sucks to suck.
Well,
Fucking
wait 2 minutes.
fucking loser.
Fucking nerd.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, you got any cool kokanee stories? Any cool trips that stand out from the last couple years? Or
I'm sure I do.
yeah,
It's been so long since I've gone kokanee fishing.
yeah, yeah,
Just because in the last couple of years I've been doing more steelhead fishing during the winter. But say 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, I was doing kokanee year round. Trying to think of any crazy stories. I mean, I've had some really great days out there.
yeah. You tell me about some cool steelhead fishing. I'm not a big steelhead guy. I mean, summer steelhead, I'll do it.
There's nothing cool about steelhead fishing.
Steelhead sucks. No, I love summer steelhead fishing. It's something that I've really gotten more into the last probably 3 years. But I'm not going to go freeze my balls off in the middle of January, February, and trying to get a winter steelhead.
Yeah,
I'm not patient enough.
Winter steelhead can be fun. I don't have a drift boat yet, and it's hard to get me motivated to get out there when it's 30 degrees and it's muddy and slippery, and you're standing in knee-deep water, and your feet are freezing, and your hands are frozen, and your eyelets are freezing up, and all that. It's just hard to get me motivated. So I kind of wait until I see some good reports and do some Facebook investigations and kind of figure out who's on what river and who's catching. Then I'll try to make a couple trips out there, but I'm not gonna bust ass for it.
Yeah, I will say one thing. I've always had a little bit of kind of like I want to try winter steelhead fishing, but one thing that I've wanted to do for years is I really want to try to get a trip with Big Dave.
Yeah,
I want to try to do that. I was trying to do it for like my birthday, but my birthday's not a super awesome. Like it's usually the winter steelhead's not great by then yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, for years I've wanted to try to get with Big Dave in the lodge.
Yeah. I mean, I've wanted to do that as well, but he's booked out. I mean, you might as well try for 2025 because he's booked out.
Yeah.
I hear his protege, I think his name's Sam, is very good too, and they will, I think, go on like kind of a convoy. So if you want that, he might have some availability too. But
that's like saying, I'd like to go fishing with Cameron Black, but I guess I'll go with Brandon Powers. Damn it.
Yeah.
Brandon.
Right.
Fuck that dude.
Yeah, fuck him.
Okay. Well, right now, when did that boat show start?
It started yesterday.
Okay, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
Saturday, Sunday.
Okay. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they got the Portland Boat Show going on. Is that at the Expo Center?
Yes.
Okay. You're kind of set up with a little booth there. Kind of try to tell people where to find you.
Yeah. So we're at booth 102. I don't know if this will come out in time, but we can try to get it out.
Yeah, we can try to get it out.
Booth 102. I'm actually working with Gonzo Boat Works, and that's like I mentioned before. It's the boat recycling. So he's out there trying to get his name out. He's based in Seattle and does most of his work up there, but he's trying to branch out down here. And I'll be taking over the Vancouver branch of it. Just trying to find derelict boats. You know, people have a boat on their side yard that's covered in blackberries. That's the kind of thing we're going for. Or if there's a boat at the marina that's been sitting there and nobody's paying the mortgage fees, that marina will actually pay you to haul it out of there and recycle it. And, you know, especially if it's becoming a hazard where it's no longer seaworthy and you could have fluids leaking into the water. So that's what he's out there doing. But he's nice enough to let me put up my fish sauce display down there. So, if you're at the boat show, come check me out. Come to have a chat. I'd love to talk fishing. I don't care if you buy anything. Just come talk to me. I get bored.
Buy a fucking RPG.
Buy 3 of them.
Yeah.
three for $40 right now at the boat show. So
perfect.
Come grab one.
Yeah. So I've actually never been to the boat show. How different is it compared to like the sportsman show?
It is less geared towards guys like us, and it's more geared towards the general boating community.
So like the ski.
So there's
ski
like
boats.
one corner of the main exhibit is ski boats, and it's all crazy expensive ski boats. One of those boats right across from where we're sitting. Actually, I'll let you guess. How much do you think this wake boat cost? It's like 20 foot.
I'm
just gonna say more.
150,000.
More.
200,000.
More.
300,000.
A little bit more.
310.
305.
Jesus.
305,000. And just to give you some reference, I bought my house 5 years ago for $280,000. So you could either have a decent house, or you could have a boat that's going to cost you a mortgage payment every month.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, you can only use it 5 months out of the year, 6 months out of the year. Not even 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking like May through maybe October.
Yeah. So when you're walking through the sportsman show, they obviously have boats there too. Do they still have kind of like those same vendors and dealers there to have that? Do they still have like fishing boats there?
So yes, I got sidetracked there because I got so mesmerized at how much that boat was. So there's like the ski boats, there's like the runabouts, like the pleasure boats. There's some really cool old wooden boats. And then there's also our favorite, the fishing boats. And I walked around drooling there for half an hour yesterday, just looking at dream boats.
Yeah.
There's actually some pretty cool used boats too that were pretty decent price.
Really? Don't tell me that.
You don't want them. Your boat's nicer.
Don't give me bad ideas.
But I did see a 20-foot Rivermaster they had there, brand new. It was like $50K.
Oh, really?
Damn.
Yeah.
I might be looking at one of those in a couple years.
Yeah, yeah. The Rivermasters are nice, man.
Yeah, it's a great boat.
Yeah. So if you were to walk through there or this sportsman show, and you had what do they call that? The check that doesn't have nothing. Blank check.
Blank check.
That's right. If you had a blank check.
Blank mind.
yeah, blank mind. No truck driver.
Yeah.
If you had a blank check and you could buy any boat that your little heart desired, what would you drive out of there with?
Well, first off, I'm a little overweight, so my heart's not little. It's oversized. But
you're like the Grinch.
If I had, that's the problem. It's like I don't want just one boat.
Yeah.
I mean, there was an Allied boat that was like 31 foot and
Yeah.
had a 16-foot cabin on it. I mean, hell, I wouldn't mind one of those.
Yeah.
But then it's like you can't really do that in the Columbia River.
Right.
So if I had one boat that was like all around, could do everything. There was a Willie Predator there. I want to say it was 22 foot, 23 foot. Open sled. I think it had a 250 on it.
A tiller or center console?
Tiller.
Yeah.
I mean, I go back and forth on the center console.
So I do too, and I'm also a waterfowl hunter, and that alone is the biggest reason that I don't want center console, is because I like to have a boat blind and I like to be able to hunt out of the boat.
Right.
But if I knew 100% that I was never going to duck hunt out of my boat, I would probably be more open to a center console.
Well, you're a truck driver. You like being able to sit on ass all day.
That's right. I love sitting on ass. So you mean to tell me there's not one specific boat that you would just be okay with, like, for the rest of your life?
Yeah, it's hard,
Yeah.
honestly, because, I mean, if in the perfect world, I would have 3 boats.
Yeah.
I would have like a 18-foot Clackamas drift boat. I'd have probably like a some sort of open sled.
Mhm.
I'm not too particular on the brand.
They all
That
suck.
Willie Predator did look pretty nice.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably have something like the Allied boat or like a Kingfisher or some sort of
Something.
offshore boat where you can go out in some pretty nasty shit and still be comfortable and go for halibut or tuna.
Yeah.
And not worry about having gas cans sitting in your bow so you can get back, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have a few guys that go in boats, you know, like the 22 to 24 foot range, and they go tuna fishing, and they're carrying gas cans in the front, and they've got coolers all up in the bow and just shit everywhere trying to go tuna fishing. So
Yeah.
it'd be cool. I mean, granted, it's not feasible, but
Yeah.
that would be like ideally 3 boats.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you go for?
So myself personally, I don't really do tuna fishing. I shouldn't say it. I've never been tuna fishing. So it could be a kokanee deal where I say tuna sucks and then I go do it once and I'm like, oh, this is fucking sweet. You know,
Think about all the salmon bait you can get from all this tuna.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm not going to let tuna decide whether I get a boat or not. I'm not a small river guy, so I don't need a drift boat, or even one of those power drifters. I don't really care about that. I would say there's a handful of guides in our area within the last couple years that started doing the river wilds with the windshields. It's like a 26-foot river wild with a windshield, and but it's like an open sled.
Yeah.
And those things are fucking slick, dude.
Yeah.
And you know, they got the big 225 or 250 tillers on there. That's probably, if I had to choose, that's probably what I would go with.
Those have power steering too, don't they?
Yeah. Well,
Or like some like steering assist or something where it's like doesn't.
I think that depends on if you got Yamaha or Mercury, because I think Yamaha's like a steering assist. I think Mercury is like an actual true power steering.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I would
go Yamaha or Mercury.
If I were putting that much horsepower on, I'd probably go Mercury. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it matters as much now as it did 10 years ago. Pretty much all the motors now are fucking killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say probably 26-foot River Wild with the windshield. And
can I resend my what I want?
Sure.
I'd probably go with the Lumuel Pacifica or Pacific.
Yeah,
they're pretty cool.
Yeah, it's center console though.
Center console. Yeah, and twin engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those things are slick.
They'd be nice. Think about the gas bill though.
Yeah. Compared to your boat you got now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm complaining about $5 a gallon ethanol free.
Yeah.
In my boat.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah. But we're talking about the dream world.
Yeah.
I have millions of dollars in the bank.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to reality. What's your boat now?
I have a 16-foot smoker craft. It's got a 60 horsepower Evinrude on it. Does about 34 if it's just me in there. If I'm going with the wind and the current, I can maybe get 35, 36. But, you know, trimmed out, it's 34 is kind of reliable. A couple guys in there, probably in the low 30s, 30, 31. But it does pretty well, really good on gas. It just sips. It's a 2-stroke, but it just barely sips the oil, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I have a 2021 Tohatsu kicker on there, and I don't know. Even if I got a brand new boat, I'd probably still go with that Tohatsu. I love that thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I've heard good things about those Tohatsus.
Yeah, I mean, I've also heard that they're just like mostly Mercury innards.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Tell me about your boat.
I have a 2018 Fisherite Rivermaster, which we were just talking about a couple minutes ago. 18 foot with a 80 horse Yamaha factory jet, which I took the jet off and put a prop lower unit on there, and I will never put another jet boat or jet motor on my boat again because I don't run that skinny.
Yeah. You will someday.
No, I won't.
You'll be tuna fishing. You're gonna be kokanee fishing. You're gonna be running skinny waters. I know it. Just watch.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably
gonna quit duck hunting, and you're gonna start running skinny water.
I'm gonna have to take a second truck driving job just to be able to afford that.
Right.
Yeah, I think the power from the prop and the fuel savings alone.
Fuel savings is big.
It's huge. I used to run from boat launch in Woodland to Coon Island and back, and I would burn like over. It was like in between a half and 3/4 tank.
How big's your tank?
32 gallons.
Oh,
yeah, dude.
16 gallons.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it bothered me.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite 16 gallons. 16 would be like half.
You said half a tank, right?
in between a half and 3/4.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
So I'd
okay,
probably
okay.
I'd probably burn 12 gallons.
That's a lot of money, though.
It fucking sucks, dude.
Yeah.
But as soon as I
Especially when you're not catching fish.
yeah, yeah. But once I put that prop on, I don't even burn an eighth of a tank.
Yeah.
So, and I cruise at 40 mile an hour.
Yeah.
So it's nice. But I got all the fancy fish fighter stuff in there, and it's a pretty good looking boat.
Yeah. Got a nice wrap on it.
Yeah, nice wrap. It's got a nice top that I don't ever really use.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely have some, 2 foot, 3 foot itis. I wish I had 20 foot, 21, 22 foot.
Yeah.
Because I did an ocean trip last year, and I wish that I would have been able to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
But that'll come with time.
Yeah, I've got the 5 foot itis.
Yeah.
Or actually probably closer to 7 foot itis, but realistically my next boat's probably like a 20, 21 footer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like my boat. It's just beat up. I mean, it's got more dimples than my mom's ass, but
Yeah.
think about wrapping it, but then it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
It's leaky, it's old, it's tired, but
Yeah.
you can put lipstick on a pig and it'll still look nice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so obviously you're going to be at the boat show this weekend, so you're not going to have much of a report. We got kind of some funky weather, obviously, this weekend coming up, so I don't even know if I'm going to be making any kind of report. I'll probably just be hanging out at home, cuddling with a blanket and binge watching Netflix shows.
Right.
But as we get a little further into the year, we're going to have a lot more in terms of reports as fisheries come and go. These podcast episodes are going to get a little bit more entertaining. We're going to try to get some cool guests on to talk about certain fisheries or certain products that they offer, and we might even get just some regular blue collar guys that want to tell us about their daily life and why they love fishing, and we'll just bullshit about fishing for an hour. So with that, I think we're about ready to wrap it up.
All right, let's wrap it up. I got to pick my kids, and
Yeah,
I'm sure you're ready to go home and go to sleep, huh?
Yeah, I got to be up at fucking 1:00 tomorrow morning. So,
All right.
Alrighty, well, thank you guys for tuning in for the first episode of the Wet Net Weekend Report, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening.